Welcome to the Delaware Tech Library's tutorial on crafting information literate assignments. The purpose of this video is to walk you through the basic steps of identifying and modifying the assignment that will be used for your department's triennial CCC5 assessment cycle, and the principles involved will also be useful in introducing and reinforcing information literacy skills in prerequisite classes and assignments. The stronger the student's preparation in earlier stages of your program, the more likely they are to successfully demonstrate these skills in their capstone courses. First, a little background. CCC5, Information Literacy, is one of the 5 core curriculum competencies here at Delaware Tech. We've assured our accreditation body, the Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools, that all students earning a degree from Delaware Tech have mastered these competencies. To that end, we assess each CCC in each degree program on a rotating basis as part of SLOA, Student Learning Outcomes Assessment. CCC5 is assessed every 3 years in conjunction with CCC1. Information literacy is evaluated by library faculty, while communication skills are evaluated by English department faculty. Typically, the same assignment is used to evaluate both competencies, although that is not a requirement. The rubrics that are used to evaluate the student artifacts can be found on the Q drive. The CCC5 rubric is divided into 2 MOAs, means of assessment, and includes the following: research identification, inclusion of relevant and discipline-specific resources, evaluation of sources for balance, credibility, and discipline-specific criteria, effective integration of supporting sources, and ethical use of information. The first MOA measures the research process, the steps the student takes to locate and evaluate information in answer to a self-defined research question. For this process to be evaluated successfully, there must be evidence of the process, such as a research log or worksheet. It is not possible to recreate a student's information-seeking behavior based on the final list of sources alone. The first step in the research process is defining the scope of the research question, which typically involves an initial search for information and a subsequent broadening or narrowing of the focus. For example, a general term such as agriculture would usually be too broad. Depending on the type of assignment, an overly narrow focus might be limited to a particular event, place, or time period. The student would need to cast a wider net if few or no sources were available within those parameters. To locate and access information effectively, the student must be looking in the right place. Different databases and/or search engines are appropriate for different queries. Nursing students, for instance, should be searching in a nursing or health science-specific database such as CINAHL. And while it can, under certain circumstances, be appropriate to look for resources on the open web, simply typing a single query into Google and unquestioningly accepting whatever comes up on the first few screens cannot be considered a research process. The last step in selecting resources is employing appropriate criteria to choose among them. This type of evaluation is at the heart of information literacy because it demonstrates that the student is able to apply critical thinking to the search process. Items that are clearly outside the scope of the project suggest that the student does not have sufficient knowledge to recognize a weak or inappropriate source, or has terminated the process too soon, before the best possible information has been identified. To assist faculty with assignment design or redesign, the librarians have developed a worksheet that can be attached to an existing assignment in order to provide evidence of the research process. The worksheet can be used as is or adjusted to better articulate with the assignment. The librarians are happy to meet with faculty to discuss this or other ways to gather the information needed to assess CCC5. The worksheet covers MOA 1 only. The student chooses a minimum of 3 sources used in the final project and describes the search process that led to their discovery. In the first section, the student furnishes the name of the database or search engine and all the search terms used, and provides a complete citation to the source in question so that it can be easily located. In the second section, the student documents the evaluation of each of their sources by answering questions that correspond to the 5 standard criteria of currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. This approach, known as the CRAP test, is taught by librarians and is also available as a video tutorial for distance learning. The second MOA measures the integration process, how effectively and ethically the student combines their own work with the external information gathered to address the research question. For this process to be evaluated successfully, the delineation between the two needs to be consistently clear, and all external sources must be cited properly. The greatest obstacle to evaluating integration is when the reader cannot determine where the student's writing ends and the external information begins. This is most often due to an absent or incomplete citation procedure, which may rise to the level of plagiarism. At other times, the citation procedure is adequate but reveals that there is scant student contribution beyond transitions between quoted content. If there is no bibliography or works cited documentation, of course, neither focus in MOA2 can be evaluated. In addition to problems with the citation format, another common issue is when the sources in the body of the work do not align with those in the bibliography. In order to evaluate MOA2, the librarians need 2 types of evidence: the project itself, the artifact, and the list of works cited, the bibliography. In a traditional research paper, those come together, but for other types of projects they may not. If the assignment is not a written one, the records submitted must be sufficient to determine how the student's sources were integrated and cited. It is highly recommended that faculty work closely with the librarians before the assignment is finalized to ensure that the proper evidence is collected. Although the identity of the student and the grade received are not relevant to the assessment of CCC5, a separate and unique artifact must be submitted for each student in the class. Remember that it is not the student's content knowledge that is being assessed, but rather the effectiveness of the program in imparting the required research skill set to each potential graduate. All artifacts must include a written list of sources. Acceptable sources depend on the requirements of the project, but all sources, including websites, social media, and personal communication, must be properly and completely cited in APA or another standard format, such as MLA, Chicago, or Turabian. If a source cannot be located based on the information supplied in the bibliography, it cannot be considered in the evaluation of the artifact. Thank you for your time. The librarians are looking forward to working with you.